Hi there, and welcome to episode 21 of Behind the Brush. I'm Joy Baker with All About Art Gallery, and today I'm joined by one of our fresh new local artists, Sue Rosado. Sue, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, we're so happy to have you here. Sue is a basically local artist. She splits her time between here in Hendersonville and Puerto Rico, right?
Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
yes.
So why Puerto Rico? What brings you there?
Well, my parents actually, my dad had a job way back in 1968, and that's where it all began, is I was with my family there, and I went to the university, I met my husband, and that was it. That's what
Nice.
This all came together.
You've been back in the United States for a while, though, right?
Yes, I was there in Puerto Rico for 10 years, and then after that, it was Los Angeles for 10 years, Oregon for 30 years, and I've been here for like 3 years now in Hendersonville.
So you said you went to university in Puerto Rico. Was that to study art? Or?
Yes, it was to study art, and that actually was one of the reasons why I started with acrylic painting. And the rationale behind it was that we had to produce art concepts through our paintings in a very quick manner, our assignments. And so there they decided that I did a few oils, and then after that it was all acrylic painting because they needed us to produce. So that's how it all started.
Gotcha. So I would guess that you just prefer acrylic because that's something that you needed, to make them dry faster, I assume?
And once I got used to acrylics, and it wasn't only the drying fast, but also the colors. I mean, the freshness of the colors with acrylics, I absolutely love. And there's always that point that you have to get over as far as the drying. Too many times acrylics dry fast for the beginners, and it is a challenge in the very beginning. So you have to find ways to get around that, to blend or however you're going to do your art for the colors to come together, or blend or mix or whatever. Yeah.
Do you mostly work from a photo reference, or do you ever paint directly in front of your subject?
It depends. I mean, I've done plenty of landscapes. Even in Oregon, I belong to a plein air group, and there's a couple big groups in Oregon that did plein air, and I joined them many a times. And so that was right out in the open, and that's what you did. But I love studio painting because, to tell you the truth, it gets tiresome with the bugs and all the things you have to go around, right?
Yes.
And so it's actually been really nice to do studio painting. So to answer your question now, I pulled together a lot of different photos or references. I mean, I do a lot of studying before I decide to put something together. Now, the abstracts I did that were here before, that's a different story.
Sold immediately.
That's a different story. I mean, that I came up with that concept. I just wanted to do some kind of rock formation, geometrical, and I remembered with my little pad, my little, sketches and that kind of thing. So it just came together. So I love nature. That's whether it's animals or the outside, the landscape, whatever we find in the landscape, it's all good.
Is that just what inspires you the most, is natural, kind of organic things?
Absolutely.
I think you can see that through your work. Even looking at the animals, they have sort of a raw element to them, I think. And it's kind of like, I hate to use the word naked, but it's kind of like a naked look at the figure, without a lot of other stuff going on. It's not fully fleshed out. It's like an impression of it in a way. I just love these so much.
Well, what I find when I go to paint something, whether abstract or the animals or a landscape, I want to somehow create an essence, get an essence, something really special within, and magnify it, make it stand out. And of course, we can do this through form and color. That's what I go after.
So you mostly draw your inspiration from nature. Are there any particular painters as well that you maybe draw inspiration from or that you look up
Absolutely. Okay, one of my favorite painters is Stephen Quiller from Creed, Colorado.
Okay.
And he is a color theorist, and he's also a landscape artist. And he's an amazing painter. He's a watercolorist as well as does acrylic painting. And when I first started back painting, he was the one that I admired the most, and I sought after. However, not so much his techniques, but his color theory. I learned so much. He has several books out, so I not only read all his books, one in particular on color, but also I took a class from him. I took a workshop from him in Creed, Colorado, and that was nice. But then when I first started back with my painting, I guess you could say that I was illustrating more than I was painting and creating. And another great artist that I took a workshop from was Skip Lawrence. Skip Lawrence is from Maine, and he is something else. He doesn't always tell you what you want to hear. We had critiques, and he would take you aside and give you a total critique, personal critique. And I'm telling you, a little heartfelt, you wonder, you go, oh my gosh, He said, you're a great illustrator, but you got to be more creative. And so I learned a lot from him. So those two artists are my main artists that I felt like really have inspired me.
And by creative, did he mean like loose and free with what you're doing and a little bit less like restrictive with the technique or the...
Exactly. So in other words, a lot of painters, especially when you first start out, they want to paint what they see. I was doing people at the time. And for instance, maybe I had at a carnival, I would get a scene and I would make up the scene and there would be people in it close up. And but they were great paintings in the sense that they said exactly what I saw, but there wasn't enough creativeness beyond that.
Okay.
So that's why he called it illustration. So after I got done with him, it was like, okay, I need to do something different. So that's why I started to really start thinking about what he said. And it has really helped me to develop my paintings.
And kind of challenge yourself in a way. Have there been any paintings or like a specific project that you worked on that was especially challenging that you felt?
I think all of it's challenging. And the reason why I say that is that for me, artist block for me is the biggest challenge of all. So when I get done with a series or a individual painting, the next question is, what are you going to do next?
What's next?
And do I want to do something totally different? Do I want to use a different color combination? Do I want to take something I have done already and tweak it? How am I going to get to the next step? And for me, that's the biggest challenge ever.
Finding the inspiration.
Yeah, finding the inspiration in the next original situation that you want to put out there.
So do you prefer to work in a series? Like when you're painting, you like to have multiple going at one time?
I do, and the reason why I do that is, the reason why I think that, and I haven't done it for very long, but the reason why I really like it is that when you get your mojo going and you decide what you want to do, well then all of a sudden you're going, okay, I can work on these 5 paintings together. and it really helps because now you have your color combination. So I decide on my color combinations before I start. And possibly I'll change up a little in the process of doing that. But I actually get, because acrylics dry so fast, I actually get little pots, and main colors I want to use, I actually mix them up and have them in these pots with lids.
That was going to be a question I had, is do you like go ahead and make a little recipe and mix up a big batch?
I do, and it's because acrylics dry so fast, as we know, that it helps so much to, okay, I got the paint ready, I don't have to keep mixing here and a little here and a little there. And then you can always, from those little pots, mix in other colors to change them up. But you have some main colors to start with. It really helps.
When you're painting, do you tone your whole canvas first, or do you start with a white canvas?
I do most of the time. For instance, these guys, they're toned in gray. And I try to start with the toning of what, and actually paint the sides from the very beginning. So that is one mixture I will have enough of to tone all the canvases and the sides, and go back after the painting's done, because you always spill over when you're painting. So it's go back and touch them up on the sides. Yeah, so absolutely.
Nice. Well, what kind of words of wisdom do you have to share with any upcoming artists or artists that are struggling, or just any artist in general?
I would say a couple things. One is don't get frustrated and learn all you can. There is so much out there today that you can learn with, between the internet, between, when I first started painting, you couldn't find workshops. I mean, that was way back. But today there's so many workshops and classes. And whether I've even seen some new artists that they've had totally different careers, and they decide all of a sudden that they're going to paint. And they do wonderful. And it's just having that motivation and looking to see where you want to go with it, finding somebody, either a lot of times even looking at an artist you love and taking, if you see, well, they can't see that, but I got a guitar right there. If you like music and, and you see that and it motivates you, think about taking pieces of that thing and starting. I'm incredibly at awe sometimes when I see these women or men that start painting and they've never done it before, and they just get so motivated. They actually sometimes get more motivated than myself because they haven't done it, and they just charge in there, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, so I would say, just when it comes to trying to fit and the other thing is too, is if you're going to go professional, the one thing you have to know how to do, and that's the business of art and the marketing. So between the classes, whatever learning materials you can get, whether books, internet, classes, workshops, formal, informal classes, doesn't matter, whatever you can get your hands on, look to other artists that you admire, see how they work from the canvas as much as you can, and then, in addition, learn about the art business, the business of art, and the marketing.
And I would say, knowing how to value your work also, that's a tricky thing that a lot of artists find, I think. We have people come to us and we accept new art all the time, and one of the hardest things to figure out is, what do I charge for it? And,
that's true too.
I think
That's
going,
true too.
Go to a gallery, go to a local gallery, visit a website, and maybe not necessarily compare yourself to other artists, but just see what other people are charging, and it can kind of give you at least an idea, before you set foot into a new space.
And I think when I first started, I thought, okay, so if I'm a beginning artist and I don't have a lot of background, I don't have a lot of experience, what would, okay, I'm a college graduate, but, $25 an hour, $35 an hour. And I think when I first started, that's what I thought. How long did it take me to put this together? How many hours did I spend on this? And that includes, you're getting your canvas, getting your paints, painting your picture, I mean, the whole thing. And I think that's kind of how I started. But then I went on the internet, like you were saying, and I started looking at how other artists charge, and that's how I began to charge too.
I think if you really added up all of the time spent between the knowledge leading up to making a painting and creating it and marketing it, they would all cost about $1 million.
That's right. Because you have to put in that too. I mean, you sit there and you plan way before the painting starts.
For sure.
So that's even part of it.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Artists are not valued enough by art.
That's true.
Well, Sue, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here.
I appreciate being here. It's been fun.
Well,
Thank you.
We're so happy to share your art with everyone.
Yeah. Glad that here in Hendersonville you actually have a nice little gallery. This is awesome.
Thank you. Well, for anyone who doesn't know, we are all about art gallery and custom framing, and we are located in the City Square Shopping Center in Hendersonville, Tennessee. For more information on what we do, you can visit our website, allaboutartgallery.com. You can find us on Facebook or just stop by here in person. Give us a ring at 615-826-9880. We hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.